A peaceful suburban neighborhood turns into a battlefield when fake HOA enforcers, posing as cops, assault an innocent wife over a minor lawn violation. But they had no idea her husband is a battle-hardened Navy SEAL, ready to deliver brutal justice that leaves them begging for mercy. This is the ultimate HOA revenge story you won't believe. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we dive into the wildest HOA nightmares and epic comeuppances. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. Hit like if you've ever dealt with overzealous neighbors, and drop your own HOA horror in the comments below. Let's get into it. In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the watchful eyes of nosy residents, lived Emily and her husband, Mark. Emily, a gentle soul in her mid-30s, spent her days tending to a modest garden that bloomed with vibrant flowers, a small rebellion against the uniformity of the neighborhood. Mark, however, was often away, his life as a Navy SEAL demanding. Deployments that left Emily to handle the home front alone. The couple had moved there 2 years prior, seeking a serene escape from the chaos of city life. But little did they know that beneath the facade of perfect hedges and white picket fences lurked a brewing storm of entitlement and deception. The Homeowners Association, or HOA as it was infamously known, ruled Willow Creek with an iron fist wrapped in bylaws and covenants. Led by Karen Whitaker, a self-appointed queen bee with a clipboard always at the ready, the HOA enforced rules that bordered on the absurd. No visible trash cans on pickup day, fences no taller than 4 feet, and heaven forbid a blade of grass grew an inch too long. Karen, in her late 40s, had hair perpetually styled in a severe bob, and her eyes scanned properties like a hawk spotting prey. She wasn't just the president, she was the enforcer, the judge, and the jury, deriving a twisted pleasure from issuing violation notices that could escalate to fines or worse. Emily had always tried to comply, but her artistic spirit clashed with the rigid standards. Her front yard featured a small bird bath and a few whimsical garden gnomes, items that, while harmless, drew the ire of the HOA patrol. One fateful afternoon, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the street, Emily was outside watering her roses when a white SUV pulled up to her curb. Out stepped 2 men in uniforms that mimicked police attire, dark pants, badges gleaming under the light, and holsters that suggested authority. They called themselves HOA Security, a new initiative Karen had boasted about at the last meeting. But in reality, they were nothing more than hired thugs, ex-bouncers with no real law enforcement credentials. The leader, a burly man named Victor with a mustache that curled like a villain's sneer, approached Emily with a smug grin. He handed her a citation for unauthorized yard decorations, claiming the gnomes violated aesthetic guidelines. Emily, polite as ever, explained that she had checked the rules and found no such prohibition. But Victor wasn't there to discuss, he was there to dominate. His partner, a lanky fellow named Dale, stood back, arms crossed, ready to back up any escalation. As Emily persisted in her calm reasoning, Victor's patience snapped. In a flash of unwarranted aggression, he shoved her shoulder, causing her to stumble back onto the grass. Emily, shocked but unbroken, stood up and demanded they leave her property. What happened next would haunt the neighborhood for months. Victor, fueled by a false sense of power, swung his fist, connecting with Emily's jaw in a sickening thud. She crumpled to the ground, blood trickling from her lip, as Dale laughed nervously, unsure but complicit. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, too afraid to intervene against the HOA's might. Emily, dazed and in pain, managed to crawl inside and lock the door, her world spinning from the assault. She called the real police, but by the time they arrived, the fake cops had vanished, leaving only tire marks and a bruised woman as evidence. Word spread like wildfire through Willow Creek. Karen Whitaker, upon hearing of the incident, downplayed it in hushed tones at her bridge club, insisting it was a misunderstanding and that Emily had provoked the enforcers. But Emily, nursing her swollen face with ice packs, knew this was no accident. She documented everything, photos of her injuries, the citation paper crumpled in anger, and timestamps from her security camera that had captured the SUV's license plate. Mark was overseas, unreachable for days due to mission protocols, leaving Emily to grapple with fear and isolation. The HOA, emboldened by their impunity, sent follow-up letters demanding compliance and threatening liens on the property. As days turned into a week, Emily's resolve hardened. She visited the local precinct, filing a formal report against Victor and Dale, but the officers sympathized yet warned her that without solid proof of their affiliation, it might be treated as a random assault. Karen, meanwhile, rallied her, allies on the board, spreading rumors that Emily was a troublemaker, someone who didn't fit the community's standards. The neighborhood divided subtly. Some whispered support for Emily, others feared reprisal from the HOA machine. Emily's garden wilted under neglect as she focused on healing, both physically and emotionally, her once bright eyes now shadowed by betrayal. In the evenings, Emily would sit by the window, staring at the empty street, wondering how a place meant for peace could harbor such venom. The fake cops patrolled sporadically, their presence a looming threat that kept residents in line. Victor and Dale, reveling in their roles, targeted other homes with minor infractions, but none as aggressively as Emily's. One night, as rain pattered against the roof, Emily received an anonymous tip via email, a disgruntled former HOA member revealing that Karen had hired the duo off the books, paying them under the table to avoid official scrutiny. This was the spark Emily needed. She began digging deeper, contacting lawyers and gathering statements from hesitant neighbors. The tension built like a pressure cooker. Emily's bruises faded, but the scar on her spirit remained. She fortified her home with better cameras and motion lights, turning her sanctuary into a subtle fortress. Whispers of discontent rippled through Willow Creek, with a few brave souls sharing their own HOA grievances online in anonymous forums. Karen, sensing the shift, doubled down, organizing a mandatory meeting to address community concerns, but really to quash any rebellion. Emily attended, her chin held high despite the stares, and though she said nothing, her presence was a silent accusation. As the chapter closed on this phase of unrest, Emily finally received an encrypted message from Mark. He was coming home early, his deployment cut short by unforeseen circumstances. Relief washed over her, mingled with anticipation. Little did the HOA know the real storm was about to hit, embodied in a man trained to dismantle threats with precision and fury. The neighborhood held its breath, unaware that the balance of power was on the verge of a seismic shift. Mark's return was like a thunderclap in the still night. The airport reunion was tearful. Emily clung to him, her story spilling out in hushed whispers as they drove home under the cover of darkness. Mark, a towering figure with scars from battles unseen, listened intently, his jaw clenching with each detail of the assault. His eyes, sharp and calculating from years of special operations, burned with a controlled rage. He had faced insurgents and navigated minefields, but this, an attack on his wife in their own backyard, ignited a personal war he was more than equipped to wage. Settling back into Willow Creek, Mark wasted no time. By day, he appeared the doting husband, helping Emily revive her garden, but by night, he transformed into the operative he was trained to be. He reviewed the security footage, noting Victor's aggressive stance and Dale's complicit smirk. Using skills honed in reconnaissance, Mark traced the SUV's plate through discreet channels, confirming it was registered to a shell company linked to Karen's husband, a shady real estate developer. This wasn't just HOA overreach, it was a racket, with fake enforcers intimidating residents to maintain property values and extract fines. Mark's plan unfolded methodically. He installed hidden cameras around the property, motion activated and linked to his phone, ensuring every angle was covered. He reached out to old SEAL buddies, now in private security, for intel on Victor and Dale. What he uncovered was damning. Victor had a history of bar fights and assault charges dismissed on technicalities, while Dale was a wannabe tough guy with no backbone. Neither had legitimate badges. Their uniforms were knockoffs bought online, a farce that could crumble under scrutiny. Meanwhile, the HOA's grip tightened. Karen, oblivious to the incoming reckoning, escalated her campaign against Emily. A new violation notice arrived, claiming the birdbath was a standing water hazard prone to mosquitoes, demanding its removal within 48 hours or face a $500 fine. Victor and Dale made another pass by the house, slowing down menacingly, but Mark was watching from the shadows. He noted their routine patrols, mapping their routes like enemy patrols in hostile territory. Emily, empowered by Mark's presence, began rallying neighbors quietly. She hosted informal coffee gatherings, sharing her story without embellishment, planting seeds of doubt about the HOA's legitimacy. A few opened up. One family had paid thousands in bogus fines, another had been harassed over holiday lights. The anonymous forum buzzed with activity, pseudonyms sharing evidence of Karen's misdeeds, from embezzling dues to favoritism in rule enforcement. Mark's training kicked in fully during a stakeout. Dressed in black, he followed Victor and Dale, after their shift observing them unwind at a local dive bar. There they bragged loudly about keeping the neighborhood in check, their laughter echoing as they recounted shoving that whiny broad. Mark recorded it all on a hidden device, his patience a weapon sharper than any knife. Back home, he compiled a dossier, photos, videos, public records ready to expose the fraud. The turning point came during a stormy evening. Victor and Dale, emboldened by Karen's orders, returned to enforce the birdbath removal. They pounded on the door, but Mark answered, his frame filling the doorway like a sentinel. Though no words were exchanged in threat, their postures spoke volumes. Victor, sensing something off, backed away, but not before Mark memorized every detail of their fear-laced retreat. As alliances formed, a petition circulated covertly, demanding an audit of HOA finances and the dissolution of the security team. Karen caught wind and lashed out, sending cease and desist letters, but it only fueled the fire. Mark, ever the strategist, leaked select evidence to a local journalist, a friend from his pre-SEAL days, who began investigating. The articles draft-painted Karen as a tyrant, Victor and Dale as imposters. Emily's healing progressed, her garden blooming anew under joint care. Mark taught her basic self-defense, empowering her further. The neighborhood's atmosphere shifted. Curtains twitched, less in fear, more in curiosity. Whispers turned to murmurs of support, a collective awakening against the oppression. But the calm was deceptive. Mark knew confrontation was inevitable. He prepared contingencies, legal counsel on speed dial, emergency signals for Emily. The HOA meeting loomed, a powder keg where truths would ignite. Karen, in denial, prepared, her defense unaware that Mark's arrival had tilted the scales irreversibly. As this chapter drew to a close, the stage was set for climax. Mark's restraint held, but the fuse burned short. Victor and Dale, sensing unease, grew erratic, their patrols more aggressive. The neighborhood braced, the air thick with impending justice, as the seal poised to strike. The HOA annual meeting unfolded in the community center, a bland room filled with folding chairs and fluorescent lights that buzzed like angry bees. Karen Whitaker presided at the front, her bob haircut impeccable, clipboard in hand as she called the gathering to order. Residents filed in, a mix of loyalists and dissenters, the air heavy with unspoken tensions. Emily and Mark sat in the back row, unassuming yet vigilant, Mark's eyes scanning exits and faces like a battlefield assessment. Karen launched into her agenda, tooting achievements like new street signs and reduced litter, but murmurs rippled when she addressed the security enhancements. She praised Victor and Dale, who stood at the sides like sentinels, their fake badges glinting. Emily's hand tightened on Mark's, her healed jaw a reminder of their brutality. As questions arose, a neighbor stood, voicing concerns about overreach, citing Emily's incident obliquely. Karen dismissed it as exaggerated, but the room stirred. Mark waited for the opportune moment. When Karen opened the floor for new business, he rose, his presence commanding silence. Though no accusations flew yet, his stare unnerved Victor, who shifted uncomfortably. The meeting adjourned amid grumbles, but outside in the parking lot under sodium lights, the real confrontation brewed. Victor and Dale approached Mark's truck, where he and Emily lingered, their intentions clear. Intimidation. Victor, chest puffed, blocked the door, while Dale flanked. In a blur of motion honed from countless ops, Mark disarmed the situation literally. Victor lunged first, fist aimed, but Mark sidestepped, grabbing the arm and twisting it with precision force. A crack echoed as bone gave way, Victor crumpling with a howl. Dale panicked, swung wildly, but Mark countered with a palm strike to the nose, cartilage shattering in a spray of blood. Another blow to the solar plexus dropped. Dale gasping. Emily watched from the truck, heart pounding, as Mark subdued them without excess, his movements efficient and devastating. Neighbors emerging from the center witnessed the takedown, phones out recording the justice. Victor and Dale lay broken, faces bloodied and egos shattered, begging incoherently as Mark stood over them, unscathed. Police sirens wailed in the distance, summoned by a quick-thinking resident. Real officers arrived, cuffing the imposters, who now faced assault charges amplified by their deception. Mark cooperated fully, his military ID lending credibility, as Emily provided her earlier report. The dossier Mark had compiled was handed over, exposing the fake uniforms and unauthorized enforcements. Karen's downfall followed swiftly. The journalist's article hit the local paper the next day, detailing the racket. Embezzled funds funneled to her husband's company, hires like Victor and Dale paid in cash to evade taxes. Residents, emboldened, voted her out in an emergency session, installing a new board focused on fairness. Audits revealed thousands in misappropriated dues, leading to lawsuits and restitution. Victor and Dale, hospitalized with fractured jaws and noses, faced multiple charges: assault, impersonation, fraud. Their pleas fell on deaf ears. Judges, informed of their histories, denied bail. Karen, stripped of power, sold her home amid scandal. Moving away in disgrace, her reign ended. Emily and Mark's life reclaimed peace. The garden flourished, gnomes and birdbath intact, symbols of victory. Neighbors, grateful, formed genuine bonds, barbecues replacing patrols. Mark, mission accomplished, returned to occasional deployments, but Willow Creek was forever changed, a testament to standing against tyranny. In the aftermath, the story went viral online, forums buzzing with admiration for the SEAL's precision justice. Emily, once victim, became advocate, helping others navigate HOA woes. The neighborhood's scars healed, lawns greener under cooperative spirit. As the tale concluded, justice served not just for one family, but for all oppressed by petty power. Whoa, what a wild ride, fake HOA thugs getting their just desserts from a Navy SEAL hero. If that got your blood pumping, hit that like button, subscribe for more insane HOA stories, and comment below if you've got your own neighborhood nightmare to share. Turn on notifications so you catch the next one, and thanks for watching. See you in the next video.